Did Donald Trump plot his own fake attempted assassination? That's something that we're going to look at today. So there are four pieces of information that I'm going to go over here, and I'm not going to show the clip of the incident. You can go and watch it for yourself. But I'm going to show some pictures that hopefully will uh, enlighten you. So the first thing first, let's talk about Donald Trump himself. Now, put yourself in his position. Let's say, you're just standing somewhere and you hear sound of shots, and you actually, you get hit by something. You don't know what just happened to you. You have no idea what just happened. All you know is that you're just bleeding. I mean, think about it. That moment, what are you thinking about it? The only thing you're thinking is that, goddamn, let me just get down, protect myself, and try to get myself as soon as possible to the hospital. I mean, look at this video, what he does. He's standing there, continuing to chant. This is just not a normal behavior for somebody who's just been under a traumatic experience. The immediate reaction you have is that you're just lost. I mean, think about it. It's just so unusual for somebody to behave like that. I mean, at least if that was the case and you didn't know what's happening, sure, yeah, that's one of the things that show that he had some assurance that, he would survive and there's nobody else that, essentially would be threatening his life. The other thing has to do with that woman who we now know that it was, she's an FBI agent, and she was sitting in the background. The whole time she's calmly sitting there, and when the sound of the shots come out, she's actually, instead of potentially, lowering her head, trying to seek some protection, or essentially, being, lost and baffled about what just happened, she actually so relaxed and calmly, very coherently, she pulls out her phone and tries to film the situation. I mean, this is absolutely outrageous, which in my opinion raises the question that are other elements in the government are actually working with him to try to come into power. And if that's the case, which in my opinion is right, likely is, especially given the recent Supreme Court decision that essentially favored Trump, and not to mention the incident of impeachment. Going back to year 2021, if you remember, when the January 6th insurrection happened by Trump, the Democrats and Republicans, they couldn't even come to the agreement that is having the majority of vote to have this guy impeached for one of the gravest crimes that somebody can commit in their lifetime. I mean, any ordinary person, God forbid, especially a minority like a black person, or anybody else who doesn't look like a white majority, if they had done that, they would be bullet ridden probably to the last bit of their existence in that very place. Well, a lot of these people who were white people managed to break in there, and folks, there's pictures of actually them being able to penetrate into the very location and part of the Congress that actually they had a live session going on. But that's to the side. What I'm trying to say is that it just, to me, in my opinion, from the look of it, the politicians, our, the FBI, multiple branches of the government are literally letting this guy seize the power and get into anything that he can lay his hands on to try to utilize it and, essentially feed propaganda to people so he can get to power. And I think that's the scary thing that we need to really, really be alarmed and alerted about, and try to, even people who are already even aware of him, given his actions, even people who, they're his supporters, they need to literally divert their attention from him and try to walk away and, seek another political party. Let's talk about the third point, the guy himself who shot him. I mean, here's a guy who's a 20-year-old kid, and what we know is that he was actually somebody who, coincidentally enough and kind of ironic, donated to Republicans and Nikki Haley. I mean, this is just fascinating. And what's more fascinating is that I don't want to, God forbid, to, maybe this is not even proper for me to say it, but if you look at the pictures of this guy, you can see there's something just not right with them. I mean, he just doesn't look like your typical child. And I'm not using that against him. What I mean is that it's obvious that he was vulnerable to some manipulation. This is what I'm really trying to bring up. But, I don't want to have a complete opinion on this because, maybe that's just not proper for me to say that. I don't want to stigmatize anybody. But what's definitely for sure about this guy is that they could not find any social media accounts for this guy. I mean, here you have a Generation Z 20-year-old kid. Any kid nowadays at least has, Instagram, Facebook, all these varieties are out there. How the darn is it possible that somebody as a youngster doesn't have any kind of social media that you can glean some information about him? And what's even worse is that apparently FBI couldn't even get to his phone.
Is telling Fox they believe the shooter acted alone. We're also learning that they can't get into his cell phone. They have it at Quantico, but haven't been able to get any data out of it.
To try to find out what's going on. I mean, this is conspiracy written all over it. I mean, I just don't know what to say about it. And the last point that it's really worth consideration is the reaction of the security and the Secret Service present there. I mean, it's beyond. So apparently, I'm going to show you this one video, is that it actually shows that this kid, puts a ladder up, climbs all the way while Trump is actually talking. So nobody gets to notice this kid, literally from the 400 feet distance, putting a ladder, climbing up to that location, getting ready, pulling out a gun that they say they actually saw him coming with a gun to the rally. And, this is not your average shotgun. This is a full featured gun that he pulls out, and, he starts, getting into position.
Right there, see him? He's laying down, see him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
Yeah, look, there he is.
Because we have millions and millions of people.
He's on the roof. He's not.
We have people that
Right
should not be
here, right on the roof.
I mean, what the darn is happening here? I mean, you cannot just go on saying that these people are supposedly expert and professional security, or at least we hope they were. They couldn't all along. And remember, it's not just one or two person. There's roughly about 15, 20 of these people from all locations watching this thing. And they all are synced with each other. They have radio communication with each other. Folks, I don't know what you make out of it. We really need to double think this election and what's happened. This is not your typical election. Events are happening. It's just not something that you want to, turn a blind eye on.